Attention, ladies and gentlemen. We're now arriving in Detroit. Once again, this is Detroit Woodward Street Station. And thank you for riding Amtrak.
Well, hi, cheers.
Cheers.
Social distance cheers.
Yeah.
There. Nice to meet
Cheers. Nice to meet you too. Thanks so much for having me.
you. So I'm just going to roll right into it.
Yeah,
Is that
sounds
cool?
good.
Okay. So welcome to the Wisendale Weekly Wrap-Up. We are continuing in Detroit from the last podcast that we have been recording. And today I have a great guest with me. And glad you can introduce yourself.
Thanks. I'm Olga Stella. I'm the Executive Director of Design Core Detroit and a Vice President for Strategy and Communications at the College for Creative Studies.
Nice. Quite a range of titles there.
Yeah,
for you.
I know. It's like two jobs, one woman. So
Well, how long have you been with Design Core?
5 years now. It'll be 5 years in January.
Okay.
And I started my new role at the college at the end of September. So it's been about a month. And
Nice.
But Design Core has been part of the college for 10 years. So it's
Okay.
a very natural progression.
Is that the birthplace of Design Core? Or how did Design Core start?
Yeah, so the College for Creative Studies and business leaders from Michigan founded Design Core together 10 years ago. And it was part of an economic development strategy that business leaders had called the Road to Renaissance, and really a recognition of Detroit's creative economy and how important it was. And so Design Core was founded as a business accelerator to support creative businesses 10 years ago.
Gotcha. Nice. And then you joined 5 years ago. How has the progression kind of changed since you started and since it actually originated?
Yeah, no, it's been great. So when we started, Detroit's entrepreneurial energy was just getting started, 10 years ago, and which is crazy to think about given how far it's come in those 10 years.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of, new, trying to figure it out like everybody else in terms of how to really help support creative entrepreneurs in Detroit. When I arrived, we already had a really wonderful base to work from. We had been doing a design festival for many years and had a big audience. We had experimented with a number of different ways of serving small creative businesses. And most exciting, right when I joined, Detroit was awarded a UNESCO City of Design designation.
Yeah.
So it was like this amazing gift right when I started to be the only one in the United States with this designation. So what we've done with the team since 2016 has been to really try to figure out how to bring greater alignment across the different things that we've been working on, and to really use that UNESCO designation to help drive growth in Detroit's design community, but also to make an impact in the city itself. And so these last 5 years, we spent the first 18 months or so, 2 years, I think, really strategizing, figuring out exactly, what we were going to do and how we were going to do it and how things needed to change. We actually renamed the organization. It was originally Detroit Creative Corridor Center.
Okay.
And so in 2018, we went through a name change, and
So that's when it changed to Design Core?
that's when it changed to Design Core. Yeah,
Ah,
it
okay.
was
Gotcha.
DC3 before that.
Okay.
And it's just acronyms are hard, and we had evolved from the initial founding, right? And our festival, our design festival, had been mostly about a week long in years past. 4 days here, 5 days a week. And really, once we got the designation, and there was so much energy and enthusiasm around design, we were finding our partners, others there's a lot of other activities that are starting to get built into September, which is when we have our annual design festival.
Yep.
So in 2018, we just decided to claim the month of September as Detroit Month of Design. And have been doing that now for several years.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
It's been super exciting.
I know you packed a lot into that one there. I wanted to... Can you explain a little bit more about the UNESCO designation and how Detroit's is the location now? But excuse me, I guess I'm just curious. Is that every year? Is it renewed? Is there a different city every year, or is it one that's like a lifetime?
It could be a lifetime.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes. It's definitely 10 years as long as we continue to participate.
Gotcha.
And we're in year 5 now. And if you go to our website, there is a section on the website that has our action plan. It has all of our City of Design partners. There's 60 organizations in Detroit who are all helping to support the designation.
Nice.
I would say the big idea behind the designation, there's kind of two things that come with it. One is we get access to the network of design cities around the world that are also gone through the same process. And it's a wonderful learning community, learning and sharing community, where we've had the opportunity to send designers from Detroit to participate in their festivals and competitions and exhibitions. Nice. We've hosted designers from other places here. So that it's a really authentic learning.
It's international. It's an international designation. Okay, gotcha.
Spanning South America, Africa, Europe, Montreal, Mexico City, Puebla, Mexico, and Querétaro, Mexico are all North American design cities.
Gotcha.
But we continue to be the only one in the United States. Primarily because the U.S. isn't part of UNESCO any longer. And
Gotcha.
so until we join again, we won't be, they won't be taking applications for American cities. So we're gonna keep our title for a while.
Yeah. So this is year 5.
Yeah, this is year 5.
And then, exclusive, inclusive, and diversity is this year's. Does it change the theme, or how does that work?
So that was a big part of what happened in 2017 and 18. After we got the designation, we did a very intensive stakeholder and public engagement process with 1,000 people participating. And what we landed on is like our big idea, the big goal, the vision that we were driving towards was that Detroit should become the center for inclusive design practices going forward. So we wanted people to know Detroit as the place where we're making inclusive design happen, and developing the designers who can do that, and showing the projects that can do that. So inclusivity and diversity will continue to be kind of themes that weave throughout, because it's Detroit and it's what matters, here. Yeah. And I think it's something that is unique that we can offer the rest of the world. And so our partners are all working on projects that either are helping to develop diverse talent pipelines, support small businesses. In Detroit, most of our design businesses are pretty small, fewer than 5 employees, or demonstrating why inclusive design matters in real projects.
Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
That's a huge task, huge thing to take on, for sure.
Yeah, and it's been hard because it's exciting, and it's a noble aspiration, all of that.
Those were the words I was looking for.
Yeah,
noble aspiration.
It is, but it's hard to, you got what we recognize is that everybody's also working on their everyday work too.
Yeah.
And part of what we're always trying to figure out is how can the things that we're doing at Design Corps, like the festival or the ways that we're supporting design businesses, we're constantly looking for those connections back to the aspiration and back to the strategies that were in the action plan, so that it can be meaningful for our partners. We're not asking any of our partners to do projects or do city design work as an extra project. And where we're finding success is in the places where it is really important to their own mission or to their own goals and aspirations. And so we're united in that way. And so I'm excited. Next year, the National Organization of Minority Architects is going to host their annual conference in Detroit.
Oh, fantastic.
And I think it's the 50th annual. And
will that fall in September as well?
It's going to take place, I think, in October.
Oh, okay.
But there's definitely some ways that we can partner with them.
Yeah.
And they've been longstanding partners in the City of Design work anyway. And so there's just some natural ways where we can partner together. And, so that's what
awesome.
we're always looking for, those intersections.
Yeah. And how did September go this year, now with COVID and everything?
It was great. I mean, it's so weird to even say that, because I think in April, I don't think we knew what to expect. And I think, for all of us as we've gone through this pandemic time, it's hard to set expectations because it's just you just don't know. But what was so exciting about it was just the outpouring of interest from the design community. Yeah. Normally, we do a lot of events ourselves. We have a big Eastern Market event, and a lot of like kind of community experiences that Design Corp puts on. And we didn't do any of those this year.
Gotcha.
But nevertheless, it was our biggest year in terms of events and experiences, our biggest year in terms of exhibitions.
Wow.
This exhibition was one of the ones.
Sorry, not to cut you off. Big shout out to Wasserman Projects again and Allison and the team over here. We are in their Never Normal exhibit right now. It will be up until December. This will probably come out in mid-December, so definitely check out our website and also the Wasserman Projects to see more work here. So sorry, I just had to.
No, I'm so glad you plugged it, and because I love what Wasserman Projects and the designers who worked with them on this Never Normal exhibition did. Their opening night was a virtual opening night. Mm-hmm. And so just the ingenuity, and it was one of the best events I've ever been to. Yeah. Made me so happy to participate that night, because what the pandemic forced us all to do, not just Design Corp, but all of our partners doing wonderful events and exhibitions and experiences, was to really to be innovative, to pivot, to figure out, how are we going to engage people in a way that is relevant, where everybody's under so much stress in their lives. Why should a month of design matter? And I think what was so gratifying was just the outpouring of interest, of attendance. It really did matter to a lot of people, and it just energized us to think about next year in different ways. Yeah,
and that presentation, I thought it was cool to see you get a lot of backstory. You were able to see into the studios a lot, which was great, and we'll obviously put the presentation on the website as well. But it was really interesting to see the process, not only the process, but you saw into different people's homes, you saw into their studios, which I really think gives a lot of color to who an individual is, for sure.
Yeah, and you don't get that in a cocktail party,
right? Exactly.
You get a different kind of energy, but we still had that camaraderie, and then you got that layer. We do have an on-demand section of our website now, so all the digital content from Month of Design, we're still adding things as partners send them to us, but people will be able to keep accessing the content from September, and that's been a big aspiration of ours too, is to have Month of Design last beyond September, and to keep informing and engaging people all year round.
So let's stay on content for a second. So do you then release those periodically, or do you just like Netflix, like just push it all out?
Right now they're just all on the website, and then our team will maybe highlight different different events or exhibitions, things like that, based on different themes throughout the year.
Yeah, and you guys have a podcast as well?
We do.
Okay. What's the name of that one?
It's the Detroit City of Design podcast.
Nice. And when did that start?
So this is our second season. It started last year, and we mostly release the episodes in the summertime. So, sometime between April and June, leading up to Month of Design in September.
Gotcha. Nice. And is your team putting out more content now in the winter, or like are you guys just back to the drawing boards? Because I feel like everybody is back to the drawing board, just waiting for January for Q1 of 2021 to see what to do.
Well, right now we're working on a series of Instagram videos. So we started this year. This is one of our pandemic pivots, as I imagine people will be calling them. We had never really done a lot of IGTV videos before, and so we started in April, putting together a lot more IGTV content. Again, relying on our partners in the different UNESCO Cities of Design or our members. We have a business network of small businesses throughout the city. They're our members. And so now, later on in November and into December, we're working with local designers to give practical business advice to businesses and how to get through the winter and how to continue to adapt to these pandemic circumstances. So engaging audiences, making physical changes to your business, that kind of thing. So short videos, 10, 15 minutes, we're finding that that's great for, it's just enough for people to kind of grasp onto.
Well, everybody's pretty fatigued electronically. And you said you took on knitting recently. How did that go?
I'm still learning how to knit.
To take it back analog real quick.
I would call it neutral. It's very neutral. We've had some successes and failures, and the jury's out. We'll see. The next time we see each other, Felix, if I've got burgundy hand warmers, then you will know I have succeeded.
I know it's interesting to do things like that to just get your mind into doing something else. Like it's so funny.
Oh my gosh, we have to. We between the baking and So the knitting was my daughter's idea, and we're gonna keep trying.
So talk about Detroit like on a national stage. I know that like obviously the month of design is great. I know that the Detroit homecoming brings a lot of people back to Detroit as well. What do you think Detroit, or how do you think Detroit is like on a national level?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think we talked about this before before we sat down. But my job for a long time before I came to Design Corps was in economic development in Detroit. So I led business attraction and retention for the city for many years, and have been involved in kind of thinking about how to position Detroit nationally and globally for investment.
Oh, nice.
For most of my career, and. I think especially these days, Detroit's I think reputation is we're I think beyond we're just past the whole kind of morbid curiosity. Like if you've been asking me this maybe 10 years ago, the kinds of questions and the kinds of interviews we were doing with national journalists or national think tank leaders. There's one point I felt like all that was happening was that folks from New York and DC were coming to like examine us, all the time. And
just curious.
Yeah, they were just, like trying to understand. And we kept just saying, like, this is a resilient city of people who are figuring out every day and really don't expect help from anybody, and are just trying to figure out how to have a good life here and how to get past some of these challenges that have plagued us for years. And I think we're past that. Like, it is actually really like it's a little sad for me that what it took was to have a great restaurant scene to get past that. But that appears to be what some of these, what outsiders sometimes, how they judge your city is on your restaurant scene. Yeah. So we still have a great restaurant scene, pandemic or now. Right. And our restaurateurs are figuring out some innovative ways to respond to the pandemic, and I'm grateful for that. And my stomach is too.
So do you feel like? Oh, go ahead.
But I think the thing that is really exciting for me about what's the conversation in Detroit right now is that lots of leaders in Detroit, whether they're community leaders or leaders in city government or philanthropy, the pandemic has really laid bare the inequities in the city and in the region, the inequities around education, around healthcare, around housing, around workforce, opportunity. These, we've talked about these inequities for many years. I was involved in the Detroit Future City Framework 10 years ago, and helping to develop that. We talked about those inequities there, but like this pandemic has laid that bare.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's so much energy at a grassroots level, and bubbling up to try to attack those inequities head on. And I think that's where Detroit, I think, will continue to distinguish itself amongst American cities, is in facing these inequities head on. I don't think we have all the answers, and we're definitely far from solving it all. But but that kind of energy is what actually gets me very excited about the future and about helping to support and playing some small role in that, because there's some really amazing leadership in the city that are they're living, breathing every single day trying to figure this stuff out. And I think that's going to be the kind of the story of resilience that comes out about Detroit, as we go forward.
Yeah, it's interesting about how you were saying there were other cities that were curious about Detroit, like whether it would be New York, or I know when we had the movie tax credit too, like that brought a lot of interest to it, a lot of eyes. What do you see those people now moving here? Did you see them move here? More businesses come here throughout that time? I
think so. I think that people definitely, we had the whole Brooklyn wave, and we've definitely, we always do well with people who have some kind of a prior connection, right, to home. I think that's been the success of Detroit Homecoming, and what Cranes has done with that is reintroducing people's hometown back to them. And I think for the people who find success in Detroit, who come here from the coast or somewhere else, they see Detroit for what it is, and not for what they wish it would be. And I think the people who are most successful here in bringing their business or establishing their life, they are willing to join in, as opposed to like trample in, to be invited in, to figure out how to participate and what's needed. I think we're a little bit past, there was a period where everybody had a new idea for a new nonprofit, new way that they were going to save Detroit. And I think we're a little bit past the kind of the savior thing that was going on for a while. And so, especially now, I think this pandemic has proven you can really live anywhere, and do your job. And so I actually think that, given there's so many good things about being in Detroit, that we might see more people either coming home or coming here because they're curious, and staying here because they love the people, they love the culture that's here, and wanting to be part of something that's really real and meaningful.
Yeah, and when you talk about the demographics of College for Creative Studies, can you tell people, for people who don't know, that is a general design school with a specialization in, what would you say?
So it's an art and design school. It's a private art and design school that covers really all the disciplines from, art practice, painting, sculpture, and other visual arts, craft, and then all the disciplines of design. And we also have 4 graduate programs as well. Yeah,
I was just curious about how, what would you say, maybe the demographic of students that are transplants from other areas than Detroit? Or the surrounding area?
About 70% or so of our students are, I might get the numbers off a little bit, but like 60 to 70% are from Michigan.
Okay.
And then we have a very healthy international student base, and then about the other 30% are either international or coming from around the country.
Gotcha.
So, and those numbers are relatively rough. But
it's just interesting to see, that's where people stay if they go to school there. Their network is there. I mean, that's huge to stay in the city that happens like that, for sure.
And I think we're going to be doing more and more to really connect kind of what happens within the walls of CCS to the community. We just celebrated 20 years of our Community Arts Partnership Program, which has been teaching. It's like one of the best kept secrets of CCS. They've been working with Detroit school children for the last 20 years, teaching art and design in schools. And all of the kind of creative youth development that goes along with it, and just some really wonderful work. So CCS has a lot of connections in the community, in addition to Design Corps and CAP, and I think what we're hoping is just to keep having that stuff kind of rise up to the surface for people to know about it.
Yeah. Are there a lot of other initiatives, larger initiatives like the auto show or things like that attract a lot of people to the city?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the changes happening to the auto show, and next year it'll be in September, but it's supposed to be in June going forward.
But we skipped it the whole year.
We skipped it this year. We skipped it this year. I mean, because pandemic, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure.
So next year they're trying to be safe and moving it to September. I think our music festivals. I think so many people know Detroit for its music, whether it's it's techno. I mean, they're really the birthplace of techno, and then the jazz festival. I think those are really important anchors to our summer. The techno festival Detroit Movement. Opens up the summer, Memorial Day, and Jazz Festival closes it out, right? So I think those are really huge drivers. Our cultural institutions also, I mean, I think with the changes happening at the Motown Museum, kind of the new leadership, both at the Detroit Science Center and the Charles H. Wright, just the continued, excellence of the Institute of Arts and Historical Science. I mean, those are all, helping to build, the narrative of Detroit and are themselves changing in lots of ways. And then, I think the more that we continue to build out our greenways and the riverfront access, I think, when people come here, they want to walk around, they want to see things.
Absolutely.
And that, I'm so excited as we go forward about the city's plans for the Joe Lewis Greenway, which will be a 30-mile loop connecting the riverfront into an inner circle greenway that'll go throughout the city.
Oh, wow.
And I think there's just such a huge opportunity to connect a lot of neighborhoods that way to the river, but also to connect our visitors into neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And
is that an existing pathway, or is it?
It's a kind of a rails to trails project, and so they haven't started constructing it yet.
Sure.
They were doing all the community planning and the community engagement work, and it's been under planning for a while, but the pieces are all there. And I continue to just be excited that there's so much leadership and energy around public spaces and accessible public spaces. Whether it's Eastern Market, I mean, you think about it, like there's a bunch of places that mean a lot to just everyday Detroiters. And those are the places that our visitors find to be wonderful and exciting and meaningful too. And so, so I think beyond the big events, it's the strengthening of those kinds of places.
The foundation of it, And so speaking on the developments, can you mention that one more time? You said the pathway?
It's called the Joe Lewis Greenway.
The Joe Lewis Greenway. And is it starting by the old Joe Lewis?
No.
Or does it have anything to do with the old Joe Lewis
No, they
arena?
just named it after Joe Lewis.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
After a great Detroit icon, right? And civil rights figure, so, yeah.
No, I just didn't know if they were naming it after the old arena. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Any other developments? Like I know the corridor, the quarter cut, the Quinder cut actually is pretty successful as well. Yeah. And I know things like that have been really, to your point, just driving home a lot of retention in the city. Yeah,
I mean, I think it looks like they're moving forward. So the one of the last pieces of the riverfront development is the Rolf C. Wilson Jr. Centennial Park.
Okay.
And so there, I think that looks like they're finalizing all the funding and everything for that, and that's going to be a massive new riverfront park. I mean, definitely on the scale of like Millennium Park in Chicago. So that'll be a pretty sizable development. Yeah. And it also looks like, I'm not in the real estate game these days, like I was once upon a time, but projects are happening. One of our city design partners, George and Namdi, broke ground on a new housing development in the Woodbridge neighborhood just last month. Nice. And small projects are still, moving forward in this new environment. And I think, right now, I think what's important is the small projects, the infill projects, the rehabilitation projects, of existing buildings. Those kinds of pieces are filling in the gaps. And while we love to see the bigger projects move forward too, and I know that they will. Yeah. Sometimes they're just harder and more complicated, and
a lot of moving pieces.
Right, it's a lot of moving pieces, and it's good to have the smaller projects, keep the momentum going, while things settle out from the pandemic.
Yeah. And you mentioned Chicago. Do you get out to Chicago quite often, or
I mean, we get out there? Pre-pandemic, right? I mean, we've got family and friends, and it's a great city.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Any other travel pre-pandemic that you're looking forward to doing after?
We were just talking about trying to get out to New York. My husband would love to get out there and just kind of see what New York looks like empty. But I don't think we're going to be going there until things calm down a lot next year.
And go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say when you like look at other cities and look at other cities' festivals, do you what do you take note of? Is it Art Basel down in Miami, or is it more of like the conventions South by Southwest, or I guess what would be the framework that you would say you would base it off of?
Yeah, so we do a lot of benchmarking against other UNESCO cities of design too, because we have such a close relationship with them. Especially ones that are really thinking about their festivals as a way to support their independent designers and their small businesses. So Kiana Wenzel on our team is the leader of our that programming. We call it culture and community. And so I know she's been looking at Toronto and networking with the folks in Boston and their design festival, and LA, we've talked to the folks in LA for a long time. And then of course our friends in the UNESCO network. And so we're trying to find those tangible ways that that we can really help independent designers and small businesses get their name out. And I think the best example, we were so excited this last year, we implemented a program called Design in the City, and we adopted it from Graz, Austria. It's been doing a similar program for many years, using storefront windows to showcase designers in retail spaces all throughout their city. And so this year, Gucci funded a pilot version of that for us, and we were able to showcase 7 women and minority fashion designers, fashion accessory designers. Yeah. And it was unbelievably successful in terms of the follow-on kind of publicity and press that the designers got. Yeah. And that's what we're looking for when we're benchmarking. It's less about like the size of the crowds and how fancy the art is. Like, Detroit is not about fancy. Yeah. It's about, does it mean something? Does it mean something to the world? Yeah. And so those are the kinds of projects that we're looking for, that we're trying to model. And I think as we think about next year, and we think about the pandemic is going to teach us a lot, not just for pandemic times, but also after. We want to integrate more technology, and more kind of digital tools into the festival, and to keep thinking about how we expand the festival's impact on independent designers.
Gotcha. Yeah, we in September, that was when we recorded our previous podcast, and we were at the Cass Avenue location of Rework, and Donovan Dewberry had his fabulous textiles and garments there, and he was really nice to meet him as well, because he was working on it. He seemed a little stressed because he was trying to get it up, but it was good for sure.
Yeah, he's going to do another project with us too.
Oh, really? Nice.
Following on to that, the Bedrock real estate company downtown, working with us, has commissioned him to do a storefront window, like a holiday window activation.
Oh, very nice.
So
very nice.
You'll stay tuned. You'll see some more amazing work from Donovan.
Yeah. And Bedrock has obviously a plethora of companies. They're pretty active in everything you guys do. I'm sure a strong partner.
Yeah, their chief design officer, Melissa Dittmer, is such a supporter of design in Detroit, and so they've really tried to tie their real estate strategy to to design in a lot of ways. So they've been a great partner to work with, and they're part of the Quicken Loans family of companies, and we've received support through their community fund as well, which has been great.
Yeah, I'm hoping to reach out to Melissa and get her on here as well to pick her brain.
Wonderful. She's wonderful, and wonderful history in Detroit. So.
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah. And anything in the future, I guess, in 2021, like I said, it's probably going to come out in December. Anything we should be aware of moving forward?
I would say just keep your eye on us. I think if this pandemic year showed us anything, is that Detroit designers are resilient. They're doing great work. And we're excited about continuing to find, new and better ways to help support their growth. And we're really excited, the fact that we were able to have such a successful design festival in 2020, in the middle of the pandemic. We're just really excited about, some of the new ideas that we have for 2021. So
that's great.
Just follow us, on Instagram and Twitter and, all of it. It's at DesignCore DET. And you can sign up for our mailing list on our website too.
Cool. Well, thank you again. And another cheers, socially distanced. And I appreciate it. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah. Talk soon.